Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going.
This is the 49er Faithful UK show, and this is week 8. It's Cowboys at Niners on Sunday Night Football, a fixture that has thrown up a few classics, and more recently, some comedy gold. The Cowboys have struggled this year, but are fresh off their bye week and looking to get their own season back on track. This one could be a banger. I'm Gareth Ellis, and I'm joined by Paul Hope.
Let's go, Faithful!
Woo. Lee Gowland.
What's up, fellas?
And Najee Karar.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, gents. I'll be feeling better than we did on Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, reasonably better.
Oh, there he is.
Positivity Thursday, Gareth.
Totally. It's nice to see you wearing some Niners gear, Lee, rather than that Vikings gear I've been seeing you in all week.
Well, just wait for the photos going on later. As soon as we get done here, I'm getting in my private jet and flying off to SoFi.
Nice.
Very nice.
But I would expect nothing less of the president. So
Yes, that's president privilege.
So it's the Cowboys. This matchup has, I think, got a little bit of history, which is handy because Lee has a corner full of history, and we've been prepared for a long one. So pause the podcast, go and make yourself a cup of tea, and it's over to Lee in History Corner.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, that's good advice because this is going to be a long one and it's more Cowboys related than 49ers related. So, the head-to-head, we're winning by one game, 20-19 and 1. The 49ers lead 5-4 in the playoffs and the Cowboys lead 4-2 in NFC Championship games. The Cowboys annihilated the 49ers 59-14 in Dallas on the 12th of December 1980. A year later, the 49ers smashed the Cowboys 45-14, a candlestick. So the Cowboys, believe it or not, they haven't been in the NFL as long as the 49ers. The Cowboys joined the NFL in 1960, 11 years after the 49ers, when the All-American Football Conference merged with the NFL. The Cowboys are the only NFL team to record 20 straight winning seasons from 65 to 85, during which they missed the playoffs only twice, in 74 and 84. It must be something to do with 4, because I can guarantee you they're missing the playoffs in 2024 as well. In 2015, the Dallas Cowboys became the first sports team to be valued at $4 billion, making it the most valuable sports team in the world. In 2018, they also became the first NFL franchise to be valued at $5 billion and making the Forbes list as the most valued NFL team for the 12th straight year. So a little bit about that history about when the Cowboys actually joined the league. So Clint Murchison, who would eventually go on to become their first owner of the Dallas Cowboys, he tried to form a team in Dallas without much success. So this resulted in Murchison trying to buy the then Washington Redskins from a George Preston Marshall. They had an agreement in principle, but just before they were due to sign, Marshall from Washington wanted to change the terms of the deal. So Murchison called off the deal. He wasn't happy about that. So Murchison went back to actually trying to create an expansion team in Dallas into the NFL. However, as you're well aware, it takes a unanimous vote to approve an expansion team. And Marshall, who felt a little bit aggrieved at Murchison pulling out of the deal, was always voting against the expansion. So they were going at loggerheads between each other. All was not lost, however. So Marshall had a falling out with the Redskins band leader, Barney Breeskin. Now, what's this got to do with an NFL franchise, I hear you ask? So it just so happens that Barney Breeskin, who had written the music to the Redskins fight song, Hail to the Redskins, he knew about this spat between Marshall and Murchison. So as soon as he had this falling out with Marshall, he decided to get in contact with Murchison's attorney and offered him the right to hail to the Redskins. So as you can imagine, this didn't go down too well. So in 1959, just before the vote on the Dallas expansion team, Murchison, who was trying to get the Dallas franchise, revealed to Marshall that he was now the owner of Hail to the Redskins and that he was barring him from playing it at Redskins games. What followed was an expletive-laden diatribe from Marshall before the entire NFL committee, and this preceded the vote, a vote which he reluctantly agreed to allow the Dallas franchise as an expansion team. It was this that resulted in the rivalry between the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins. Now, the Cowboys-49ers rivalry, that's a little bit newer. So this rivalry between the Cowboys and the 49ers, it started gaining traction in the 1970s. The Cowboys defeated the 49ers in the 70 and 71 NFC Championship games and again in the 72 divisional playoff game. The 1981 NFC Championship game in San Francisco saw the 49ers' Joe Montana complete a game-winning pass to Dwight Clark in the final minute in what is now one of the most famous games in NFL history and is widely known as The Catch. The rivalry became even more intense from 92 to 94 when the two teams faced each other in the NFC Championship game during all three seasons. Dallas won the first two matchups while San Francisco won the third, and in each of these pivotal games, the game's victor went on to win the Super Bowl. And that is History Corner for you guys.
Wow, that was... I didn't know where that was going with band rights. But interesting, yeah.
So, Gareth, next time Lee puts a message in the group chat which says, "Chaps, I haven't had time to prepare for History Corner." God knows what would have happened, Lee, if you'd had time to prepare, buddy. But yeah, I wasn't sure which rabbit hole we were going down, but you got there in the end. So.
I'll be honest. I mean, we've only been recording for... It's just come up 7 minutes now, and I actually thought that was going to last a lot longer than what it was.
So we got off lightly. It's a win already.
You did.
Yeah. Well, after that, there's something more joyous news, the injury report. Let's go into that. Thank you for History Corner, though, Lee. That was a good one. Our opponents, once again, we are facing a team coming off their bye week. Not great. But some Dallas Cowboys players are still not practicing this week. Kicker Brandon Alley, cornerback Ron Bland, and linebacker Micah Parsons. Quite a few scattered onto IR as well. The Cowboys are a bit beaten up, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. The 49ers injury report is not looking any better. We probably all know Brandon Ayuk is done for the season. Also not practicing Kevin Givens, Juwan Jennings, George Kittle, George Odom and Deebo Samuel, with some limited practice for Nick Bosa, Chris Connolly and Jordan Mason. Lads, particularly the 49ers side, it's
too many.
You know, it's not looking like it's those injuries you can manage your way through.
It's too many too early. I think desperately need the bye week. Hopefully all these niggles can get sorted during then. The Jordan Mason shoulder, Moody's ankle, George's foot, Debo's illness, which I called COVID last week, turned out to be pneumonia. I had to go to hospital, so a little bit more severe than. And I'm not saying COVID isn't severe, but obviously pneumonia is a bit stronger, especially on a healthy body like his. So yeah, I mean he's out of hospital now, so that's good. Whether he's gonna play this week is probably a long shot, I would imagine. It's just too many, isn't it? There seem to be. I genuinely think though it's not just us and the entire NFL is beaten up, and I do believe that the way they're practicing these days just doesn't really help them. The no contact until on Friday, and then all the training camp with zero contact pretty much, and you just get thrusted into NFL games full speed. I'm not sure that's the best thing to do. It's the NFL chosen to do this so they can play more games. It's another debate that we can probably have during the off season. But yeah, it's starting to amount. I will note though that the kicker, Aubrey, whatever his name is on jury duty, so he's not actually injured. So he should play. I don't know how the jury duty works in America, whether he's tied up in a trial or something. But surely he would have said that he's got a quite important game and maybe he's going to be finished by then, but maybe not. I don't know. So maybe he could be missing because he's busy in court. Good on him to not delay this in the off season though. That's dedication. Anyway,
It's many people would rather go to court than play for the Cowboys.
Well, judging by the messages I've had, yeah, I mean, the injuries you say there, Najee, I was looking at the practice report and our top 4 pass catchers, Gareth, Purcell, Cowan, Conley, and Sauber. When you think the top 4 normally would be Ayuk, Debo, Jennings, Kittle. It's not an excuse. No, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for Purdy last week. But as you said, Najee, I think the way they train, I've seen that when I've been preparing the scouting report for the defence. The Cowboys fans are saying that they've got a lot of missed tackles like us, and they can't put it right in training because they're not allowed to tackle. So it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's player safety, and it probably does make these people a lot healthier when they're older. But it does make for a worse game, unfortunately.
Yeah, we will have to see how we line up. But I think we might be having a graphic of that. We'll have a look at the Dallas offense first. I think we're not too banged up on D. Obviously, we've lost Hargrave for the season. I think Huff is still out, but the defense isn't looking too bad. And Dallas's offense.
In terms of injury, yes, I agree. Although in terms of performance,
yeah,
we're not quite there yet. I don't get me wrong, I did think we did play a good game against the Chiefs, but they still managed to score 28 points. So, not that good of a game, despite 3 turnovers. Anyway, this graphic's wrong. The center is that's not right. It should be Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott at center. That's who they play with.
I wondered where you're going with that.
First one off the bingo card, Zeke center.
Zeke center, which
in our notes.
I would like to gloat about because I actually saw that live for myself.
Of course you did. Of course you were there for the moment of comedy gold.
Comedy gold indeed.
In the intro.
Although I didn't quite realize it was him until after the play was over and we won the game. But anyway, one-dimensional. I think one of your friends you saying off air, Paul, was saying it's basically Prescott to CD Lamb, and that's pretty much what they've got. They cannot really run the ball. They're not very good, even though Dwaddle has got a decent rating. I think their O-line is really struggling with center and right tackle and left guard not playing really well. 2 rookies in there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. The center, Bibe, and Steele, or Martin is a rookie, I can't remember. But they've got 2 rookies in there, so hopefully, if Bosa is healthy, he can feast. Hopefully, Carrier Davis can have another impact play. But I think we should be able to manage that O-line, that run game. As I said, I think against the Chiefs, we did do largely a good job of stopping the running backs. So I know Prescott isn't so much of a scrambler, so that should be easier to manage. Now, I'm going to say a name again because I really want to see him step up and play the way we know he can play. And that's Mooney Ward. He's been largely non-existent this season. And I think this game is a prime game for him to remind us how good of a corner, how good of a shutdown, and a ball hawk peg guy he can be. Because I imagine he's going to be matched on CD Lamb all night. He's going to follow him around. I doubt we're going to put Green on such a good receiver, but I could be wrong. And I think this is where we need to shut down. CD Lamb's very good. Maybe top 5 receiver in this league when he's at the top of his game. And so I think if we can shut that down, and if Mooney can have the game we know he can have, this should be fairly easy to stop that offense. I'm not really too worried about that tight end, although Schoonmaker was pretty good at Michigan. He hasn't really come onto the scene. I think he's number 2 and number 3 on the depth chart, and Ferguson is a starter. But yeah, I think they're definitely missing Brandon Cooks a lot, who's a field stretcher, which helps everything underneath. So yeah, I don't think they're going to surprise us much in what they do. And McCarthy isn't renowned to pull out. I'm not saying they're not going to try a trick play or two, but I don't think the whole overall offense is going to change all that much from what we've been playing them for the past 3-4 years. And if we can shackle Lamb and not let him have a career there, it should be fairly easy for us to stop. Any objection in what I'm saying, what I've just gone through?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. To be fair, though, Gareth, Najee, I'm allowed to reference this, though. Chris Pollard is my friend who's a Dallas Cowboys fan. So, yes, Brett Sinclair. Paul Hope has a friend who's supporting the team. So I texted him, Najee, and just said, I'm putting the scouting report together for your Cowboys. And the quote, Najee, as you alluded to, our defence is completely one-dimensional. We can't run the ball at all, so it's easy to stop. So at that point, chaps, I thought, right, I'll go and do some homework. And he is exactly right in what he says. The overriding theme for Dallas is turnovers in the red zone, just to add to what you've said. They've had 11 in 6 games. The O-line is plagued by false starts, holding calls, and it's the mental mistakes and turnovers which they just haven't been able to recover from. They are one of the worst NFL teams in the red zone, so punching it in from 6 touchdowns, which is just 37.5% of their trips to the red zone, which is 31st in the NFL. So given that we've coming off a bit of a week against the Chiefs where everyone was raving about Mahomes and the Chiefs offense, that made me feel a little bit warm and fuzzy inside, Najee. I don't know about you, buddy.
No, yeah, sure. It's always hard to say, oh, they're just going to carry on not being good in the red zone. It's such a easier way to, well, it's not easier, but it's, it's right there, right? So you know that they might be able to score 2 touchdowns against us if they manage to get to the red zone. I genuinely think that they will struggle to move the ball at all against us unless they can find, again, as I said, CeeDee Lamb on a big play down the sideline or down the middle of the field with our 2 safeties who are very inexperienced and then could get tricked by them too with Prescott. Prescott does have a good deep ball and it could find him there.
His completion rate's not too bad, 63.4% on the season. He's thrown for 1,602 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So we like to give a bit of context on this show. And I think, like you said, Najee, they have become one-dimensional. And in the NFL, Gareth, if you can't run the ball and teams know you're going to pass, they're going to set up to defend it. So
it's very easy. And as I said, I genuinely think that Bosa and Leonard Ford should have a good game. Although Tyron Smith is still there and is a very good left tackle. Apologies. So one of them is going to have to go against him and try and beat him one-on-one. So I'm pretty confident our defense should be good this week.
Thank you, Najee. That's a good summary. I hope that certainly comes to pass. I think our defense should be angry last year. I think from last week's game. I don't think they played badly. I think they made a few mistakes, and as he's done before, Mahomes pulls out a couple of plays and it really annoys the defense. Plus there's a couple of people on the defense I think were made to look a bit silly on a couple of plays. Fred Warner, Malik Mustafa. I think they're going to want to come out and set that right. You've been very quietly. I think you're quietly agreeing.
I am. Yeah, I thought that was a great breakdown by Najee, and Paul's points were very valid. I think it's going to be an interesting game, because I'll go back to what I said against the Seahawks. I think Dallas coming in this off the bye week. I think they smell blood because of the game we had last week against the Chiefs. But I think that's a false hope for them because they're on the road. Yes, they're coming off a bye week. They are one-dimensional. They just can't get the running game going. The one thing I'm worried about, and what you mentioned about the red zone struggles, obviously we haven't exactly the same red zone struggles as well. You're quite right, Najee. It means that they might get 2 touchdowns a game. But if it clicks, it could be significantly worse.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really worried about. And the fact they're coming off the bye week and they've had that extra time practicing rather than playing, then I think they're going to be prepared for us.
Yeah,
so I think they're going to be motivated. Forget all this George Kittle rubbish. It makes absolutely no difference. But I think they're going to be motivated regardless because we've had the number over the last couple of seasons. We've pretty much embarrassed them over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
So they're going to be coming into this game well and truly motivated. And like I said, 2 weeks off, plenty of time to prepare. They saw what we were like against the Chiefs. Half the problem against the Chiefs, mate, was the fact that we lost 2 of our wide receivers during the game. And you know what Shanahan's like. He spends the whole week basing his gameplay off certain players, and you can guarantee our offense was based off Debo and Brandon Ayuk last week. That's what it was based off. So he lost both of those. Whereas we've had a full week to basically work with what we have and to decide where we're going with that. So hopefully the defense steps up and gets rid of the fundamental mistakes, the tackling mistakes, because I agree with Gareth. I don't think the defense was terrible last week, but they made far too many fundamental mistakes.
I agree.
So I think this game is going to be a lot closer than what we all think.
Do you not think it didn't help last week, Lee, that our offense was that bad that we were outplayed as in time of possession for the first time in a while? So
I
our
mean,
defense was literally on the field longer
helps,
than we expected. So
that never
so
helps.
They're getting gassed.
You need to get off the field on third down and not let them scramble for.
And just the way the
down,
Chiefs were playing as well didn't help our defense. You're right, they were well and truly gassed.
And as I said, we're so lacking depth on defense that is literally the worst thing that can happen to us is having our defense play, 20 minutes, 35 minutes of the game.
I'm going to say something controversial then. I think we've got pretty good depth at cornerback, and it's so good, I don't think we're playing our best 2 cornerbacks.
Ooh.
At the moment, our best 2 cornerbacks is Debo and Green. Demo and Green.
Demo and Green. Yeah, that is true. That is very true. Just to circle back to Huff, I know we mentioned him. Apparently, according to our very own insider, Chris Wood, he seems like he will not play again this season. He's not good. It seems like that injury that he sustained his ligament has him out for the season.
There's my bet up the Swanee.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if... it seems like he's got torn wrists in his torn ligament in his wrist, so he might try and play with a cast. He might, but it seems like it's a little bit up in the air. And if he does play, it's not going to be anywhere near 100% anyway.
So that's going to be interesting because it's contract season for Huff.
Yeah,
I wonder if we can get him back on a cheap 1-year deal.
On a cheap 1-year prove-it deal, yeah, potentially, and but also. Alluding to this, if Mustafa can again put a decent performance in and show that he's even getting better after last week, and if Brown can be this guy that just doesn't really make any mistakes and isn't mentioned until he gets a pick or a big play, I think we'll probably look to keep those 2 and add depth in a draft next year, maybe, or maybe like a veteran free agent that can come in and teach the kids. Yeah, it's a shame. I love Huff and his enthusiasm and his energy. So it would be good to have him back. But
Did you see, before we move on from this side of the ball, Gareth, that undrafted free agent Evan Anderson, defensive tackle, was promoted to the active roster with Ayuk going off? Mention him, Nadji, because Brad Graham has been high on this kid. And I thought, I'll get an early mention in. So then if it becomes good, we can jump on that bandwagon and say, we announced it before. You
can jump
first.
You can jump on that bandwagon. Paul's guy. Yeah, let's flip over. We've seen the defense and we've seen the Dallas offense. Let's see what Brock Purdy and whatever wide receivers we can put together are going to face. Paul, this is your baby.
Yeah, you said at the start of the show, between the Cowboys defense and our offense, it's like a battle of the wounded units on Sunday. Again, the same chap that I reached out to, Chris, when I asked from a Cowboys perspective, was he confident? And his reply was 6 starters missing, all the injuries, all of our pass rush. So in answer to your question, Paul, no, I'm not confident. But they are coming off a much needed bye, and they were hopeful of getting Parsons and Bland back. We are recording this on Thursday night. I don't think either will feature, but it was just something to mention, Gareth, when I was putting this together at dinner time today, that I hadn't ruled them out. But it is also worth pointing out, which I'm sure you chaps will smirk, The Cowboys were pretty healthy earlier on. They got well beaten by the Saints in week 2, 44-19. And they also lost a nail-biter at home to the Ravens in week 3, 28-25. So the departure of Dan Quinn was always likely to lead to some regression for this Cowboys defence. And it's been the case so far. Currently ranked 24th in the NFL. They're allowing on average 356.5 yards of total offence. They've conceded 19 touchdowns so far. The Cowboys rank in the bottom 5 in the NFL against the run and in red zone efficiency, whilst also sitting in the bottom 10 in points per drive and the defensive EPA per game. The big glaring weakness that I've found between this Cowboys defence and the ones of recent years is the takeaways. Dallas only have 5 and 6 games so far, with 4 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. For comparison, your 49ers have 13, which is 8 interceptions and 5 forced fumbles, and the Packers lead the way in the NFL with 17. Now, this had been a strength of the Cowboys chaps over recent years, who actually led the NFL in takeaways in both 2021 and 2022, and they were averaging 2 per game, or if Cowboys like to point out, Trevor and Diggs seem to be getting 5 a game, depending on what part of social media you were watching back then. But this defence has struggled all year, chaps, to put pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. And we all know quarterback hits and pressures usually leads to turnovers. Now, through the first 4 weeks of the season, they allowed quarterbacks on average 3.1 seconds per throw. And in the 2 weeks without Parsons, that number jumped up to 3.07 seconds. Now, the reason I've mentioned both is that both feature in the bottom 10 in the league. And what I found was interesting, Najee, was the one about Parsons. With Parsons, the pressure rate is 34.9%. Without Parsons, it's 34.8%. So some Cowboys fans are saying, oh, we'll get Parsons back. It'll magically fix all these problems. I don't see it when I watch the game tape and I'm looking at the stats. Now, a player who could return this week, who I'm more worried about than Parsons, is All-Pro cornerback Darren Bland. The Cowboys activated his practice window, and their struggling secondary definitely would need his physicality in there and the turnovers, because he's been pretty good at that since he came into the league. He checks both boxes. They're also hoping to get Kendricks back in the middle. He missed the Lions game. So coming off that bye week, McCarthy's 3-1. The only game he's lost is the Packers in overtime. But the Cowboys fans I've spoke to do not share that optimism. And they go back to those losses against the Saints and the Lions at home. The Cowboys were absolutely destroyed in both games. They gave up over 400 yards of offense and over 24 first downs in both games. But like our defense, it's the poor tackling. And you go back and watch the game tape, and there's missed tackles after missed tackles. They're missing 6 starters, which my friend has pointed out. But for me, that's not an excuse for how poor this defense has played. Mike Zimmer and his staff have been saying this week that we need to be better in the fundamentals, we need to be better in the tackling. And he actually threw his players under the bus a little bit, which I found quite interesting. I'm not going to regurgitate the quote, but just go and have a look. He literally stood at the podium and blamed the players for not getting his scheme. And I thought that was quite interesting, because we don't have that culture at the 49ers, despite what Grant Cohn would have you believe. Now, I am getting to the end. Before I finished off, I just wanted to throw a couple of stats. They've got 14 sacks. They've got 4 interceptions so far. The Zimmer scheme is quite simple. At heart, he runs a 4-3 base scheme, and he likes to use a 4-2-5 nickel package in passing situations. Primarily, the coverage he likes his players to play is press man, and he likes to kind of blitz the quarterback wherever he can, such as double A gap blitz formation. And ironically, his number one priority in Zimmer's scheme is stopping the run. And it's the one area that they've struggled all season. So I don't know whether it's a case of the players not adapting to his ideology, or whether it's a case of the injuries. I mean, we're in week 7 now, chaps. And when a defensive coordinator stood at the podium and he's saying the fundamentals need to be better, we need to be better at tackling, we need to be better at this, it kind of thinks 49ers land. I've seen a few people on social media say that maybe our defensive scheme isn't the greatest and our players are lacking in effort. But it just goes to show sometimes the grass isn't always greener. Now, I have got a couple more stats to mix in, Gareth, but at this point, does anybody else want to add anything to the defensive scouting report before I move on?
Yeah, I genuinely think we can fairly easily break the spirit. It would seem, especially the two beat down that they'd taken, that that defense just gave up and just decided to go home early. There is that's what it seems to me, that there is a non-buying, whether it's the coaching, the staff, the scheme, each other. I don't know what it is, but I think if we can score quick and early and a lot, pretty decisively, I think it's going to be a very easy day. Now, saying that, it's also the reverse is also very easy. If we let them hang around and if we make mistakes to make them build momentum by not doing all much, they will rally together and maybe see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I do think like we could fairly easily break them, but also that has a reverse that could be bad for us. But I believe in us. I think we can.
I
I
was
think
going to say
Mason's going to
before
have a day.
I was going to ask you, Najee, because they're allowing 4.5 yards per rush attempt. They've conceded 10 rushing touchdowns. They've faced 189 rush attempts, Gareth, for 859 rush yards. So you think, right, okay, if they shut the run game down, what are they like in the passing game? 8 yards per attempt. Quarterbacks are completing a 64.9 completion rate against them. They've allowed 1,359 yards through the air. They've conceded 9 touchdowns. So if there was ever a game, Najee, where you want to establish the run, break out play action, and let your quarterback, who may be decent at a deep ball or two in the NFL this year, I was just thinking, Gareth, this is a game for me. I think what Najee said, Jordan Mason's going to run all day, and then when we want to give him a rest, we're going to let Brock air it out to Ricky and Cowan. But that's my scouting report anyway.
Nice.
So
you,
that's
Paul.
exactly what I can see happening as well. I think we're going to run the ball all day long.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a run-heavy offense on early hours of Monday morning. I forgot it was a red eye. I think we'll do that purely because we don't have our wide receivers that we normally have.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be run-heavy.
I think I'll agree with that. I think it's going to be a change. We have seen a slightly different and not necessarily different for the good offense this year, where I think Shanahan has wanted to put the ball more and more in Purdy's hands, and Purdy struggled to find open receivers. I think that's been reflected in his interceptions. It's been reflected in his completion percentage. And I think this is a good game to kind of force us to go back to what we've done perhaps more in previous years, where we've had less able quarterbacks, or back when Shanahan made it easier on the quarterback and gave those check down passes, gave those short, quick rhythm passes, mixed it in with a punching run game, where you get your defense pulled from left to right, front to back. And it doesn't quite know where the next attack's coming from. I want to see us get back to that. I know you've got to reinvent your offense every year, and Shanahan's trying to do something different. And I think trying to get more, because he's got a quarterback he can trust that can deliver that sort of stuff. But I think this is going to be a good matchup, and it's never good with the injuries. But to force our hand perhaps a little bit that way, try and get something more going in the run game, and I think try and mix that up with the shorter passes, and it chews the clock. It's something that we haven't done particularly well this year, which is control those games by controlling the clock and just keeping the ball out of opponents' hands. We failed to do it against the Chiefs. We gave Mahomes 36 minutes or whatever it was. You're not going to win against that. Now, Dak Prescott is not Patrick Mahomes, but CD Lamb, they still do have some danger, I think, there. And it's the NFL. If you slack, if you switch off, you're going to get punished, even by the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
Just going to make America's game better. We're searching for that metaphor, the scene, the soundtrack. We've been here before, chaps. We're 3-4. The sky is falling in that G. But, Positivity Thursday. What better game to face the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, they're just broken at the moment, the Cowboys. You go on social media, you talk to the fans. I mean, I've mentioned Chris, Ian Keane. This is Noah's mentioned now. He's been quiet all weekly. I haven't heard of little Noah Keane. He's normally quick to send me a message when the Cowboys are playing well. But,
Does he still listen, does he?
He does listen, so I said I'd give him a shout out, but he's been very quiet this week. But we've been here before, Nadji. Have we not? The 49ers have been here before, buddy.
We have, and I do truly believe we have their numbers and we can absolutely smash them this week. But also, I am, as Gareth said, very wary of the fact that NFL margins are very small indeed. Even when you are playing against a broken, bad team, you can still lose games fairly easily if you give them the chance to. So I just want to see us play a good game, a good execution, having a plan and sticking to it, and making sure that what we do it well, and being decisive in what we do, and looking like a real contender. After this game, during the bye, all I want to talk about is the hope that we can get players back so we can actually compete in the playoffs. But the question to make it to the playoffs shouldn't be asked. It should be a given that we will make the playoffs because we are a good team. And at the moment, it's kind of on the fence because we are not playing well enough. But this week is a perfect opponent, especially playing an NFC contender opponent anyway, to rack up an extra win. The Seahawks and the Rams have got hard games. The Cardinals are away at the Dolphins. It is possible that we get back on top of the NFC West after this game if the Seahawks lose. So I just want us to, keep that in mind and just becoming the team we were, where we didn't have this anxiety of, what's going on? Why can't we run the ball? Why can't we pass the ball? And having the knowledge coming into the game that everything's going to be fine and we're going to score 30 points and it's going to take a good performance from the opposing team to beat us, which hasn't been the case so far. That's what I want to see, and I truly believe we can do it despite everything that we're missing, the Debo, the Ayuk, etc., etc.
But there is one area, Gareth, before we get to the score prediction, which I know Gowland wants. I hate to mention special teams, chaps, but the Cowboys are ranked at number 1 in the DVOA rankings. We are ranked 31st. We talk a lot about the eye test. We talk about momentum. I think Kev Williams shared a stat in Discord that it isn't just one player on special teams. Literally all of them missing tackles. And special teams is a problem when you're listening to the content creator. So I was watching the show this afternoon and they had a whole segment on special teams. And what should we do if our players miss a tackle? Should we tell the kicker just to wave him on by so he doesn't get injured? And I was thinking, please God, all I want is special teams to do the job. Nothing fancy, nothing over the top, no trick plays.
That's what we want to do. We just don't want to talk about the special teams.
Make no mistakes. And no special teams talk on Monday, please.
But do you know what? There's a very easy way of not talking about special teams is if we just score touchdowns, and then don't let them score touchdowns. And then all they do is one kickoff, and that's it. And then they just punt the ball, and then we just, we don't have to talk about it.
So this might surprise you, Najee, but every time they punt the ball, it's still special teams.
It is a special team, but what they're going to do is because they're scared of us, they're going to just punt it out of bounds, and that'll be fine. This is... But you know what I mean. You just don't...
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned about making the playoffs as well, because in the back of my mind, I'm now thinking if the worst should happen, and we don't win in the early hours of Monday morning, what are the consequences for Shanahan? We enter in the bye week 3-5.
I think we would be fine still. I think with 2 games, say the Seahawks win and we lose. We're only still 2 games away, and we're playing them the week after, so we can get that game right back against them, right? So
we don't play
there is absolutely no way. No,
I think we play the Buccaneers.
It's the Buccaneers.
It's the Bucs first. Yeah. Okay.
But what Nadji's meaning to say is, Lee, we're going to that 3-5. We go in your books, and CMC comes back. We win every single game.
This is it. If everything goes to plan, and I'm sure they know exactly what the plan is regarding Dre and CMC. I mean, Debo's going to be back at least after the bye, right? You'd think we would be pretty much full strength mid-November if CMC's timeline is roundly about that, and I don't know about Trey, but that means if we can just win in December, we will be fine because we are playing the Rams and the Cardinals in there. All we have to do is beat the Seahawks when we play them after the Buccaneers, and then like 2 games away is nothing. It's very easily achievable, especially that the Seahawks and the Rams and Cardinals are playing each other.
Would we be a butch? Would we be a much better team going into the rest of the season with D-Hop on our team?
No. Not with DeAndre Hopkins. He's washed out.
You got to remember as well, Lee, for all the talk, I know in the community people say, no, you can't criticise Shanahan. 49 Faithful UK won't like it. We have criticised Shanahan. However, for adjusting on the fly and making a spirited second half run on the season, Shanahan's been elite. And he's got the proven record. We've done it before, so I'm smiling. And I'm listening to what you said. If we go 3-5, social media will melt down. But until it's mathematically impossible for us to compete. And that's the beauty of the NFL. People ask me all the time, Lee, why do you stay up till stupid o'clock in the morning? Why do you watch the NFL? And trying to explain this wonderful game to people who are non-believers, and then they're watching that, G, and they start getting hooked because they'll be like, there's 3 minutes left. How can a team lose in that position? And it happens, and I'm not giving up at the moment, leaders. We've got too much fight in this team. We've been here before. Fred Warner said it at the podium better than I can after practice. They're not giving up, and the future's there.
To come back to the Diop comment, whilst I think at this point I would rather have Purcell and Cowan in, because they've shown that they can play, and I would rather if we're gonna bin this season, just put them in and let them experience. Do you know what I'm saying? I would rather see these 2 guys play, especially with Brock. Especially that Debo is only sick for this week, maybe last week, this week. George is still here. We are ultimately on offense. Yes, CMC is now here, but we are only missing Ayuk. JJ is going to come back. Debo is going to come back. George is still here. I would much rather plug in Purcell, plug in Cowan, and see where that offense can get to. I think D-Hop, the fact that he went for a 6th round, is kind of tells you everything you need to know. Teams are very good at evaluating what a player is like, especially a player in the end of his career like he is. No, I'm not saying he's not going to be good with the Chief. He's got Mahomes throwing him the ball. But I would be very surprised if he's got 500 yards by the time the season ends.
Interesting, varied bit of discussion there. A couple of things I would pick up. 3-5. We've been to an NFC Championship game from 3-5, going into a bye week. So that's not the end of the world.
With a much worse quarterback.
Indeed, and I think 10-7 could be enough to win our division, particularly if people beat each other. So even at 3-5,
I reckon 9-8 would do it.
Potentially, but as long as we can beat the Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks. We do have some tough games on the back end of the schedule. Packers, Lions look to be perhaps the toughest two, along with the Bills. But
I think the Packers are good.
That's not to say we can't.
I don't think they're good.
Yeah, we're still visiting them in December.
Yeah, that'll be tough.
It's still tough. And then Buffalo, I think the following week, or the other way around. We've got them at the beginning of December.
That would be a rough two games,
yeah, and those could be weather games. So,
and this is why
all to play
this
for.
is why, this is why winning games early. And I know you always say that it doesn't matter winning early, but this is what winning games early do. It alleviates so much pressure for these games in December, where you have to go to Buffalo or to Green Bay and try and have to win games at that point. Like the Ravens game last year. Had we had the season we have now, that game would have been maybe a lot more important on Christmas Day, and then it's all completely different than just we lost, whatever, kind of thing.
But
so
the season doesn't start till Thanksgiving, so
absolutely.
So what's going to be great,
Thank
I'm not there yet.
If you cast your mind back to when we put Debo as the wide back and Shanahan changed the identity, I can't wait to see Grant Cohen going to meltdown when the jet sweeps, the motions,
we not talk about this guy?
all because Najee behind the line of scrimmage when all those quick throws are going out to Purcell and Cowan, and we've reinvented this offense, and it's going to be great to see some of the haters, because as much as we get accused of our red and gold rose tinted glasses, yes, Simon Friskney, I did see that gif. The glasses definitely suit me. I think we're quite measured on this show, and I think that showed with the news when Debo was out injured on Sunday. A lot of the content creators jumped out to call him weak and he should have been playing through the pain, to then find out he was in hospital with pneumonia. So just need to pause on those thoughts. And I think it's like the clickbait, like you said, Nagino, Mr. Kent, none of us like. He's already rubbing his hands with glee that this team's fallen apart. So it would give me nothing but great pleasure to be able to at him and say, all right, Cohen,
I don't
keep
think
that
it's worth
same energy.
I don't think it's worth the attention or the time, to be completely honest. Waste of time.
Yeah,
I like that.
Don't do that. It's more engagement. It's more clicks.
Yeah, that's
it's
exactly
more,
what he wants. Just ignore
that's
him.
what he wants. So
Unsubscribe and ignore. Anyway,
score predictions. Let's go on to that. The betting lines: the Niners are 4.5-point favourites, and the over/under is 46.5. I'm still somehow in the lead, so that means I'm going to have to go first with the score prediction.
by a margin, 1 point. 1 point between 1 and 3. Well, 2 and 4, I guess.
More heart than head. Just it's going to be a bit of fun. We're going to get back on track before the bye week. Niners 31, Cowboys 17, and it's not going to be as close as the score predicts. The score says.
Fair enough. Lee, you're
Right.
second.
So, yeah.
He's given us a score this week. Because he didn't give us a score last week, did he, Gareth? There was a bit of controversy when it got to Gowland's
Is that right? So,
Yeah.
I'm going for a 49ers win, 24.
No, really?
24 what, sorry, was that,
24-17.
Lee?
That is very interesting.
Nice.
Very interesting. I believe I'm next. And you old of little faith, we are going to absolutely smash the Dallas Cowboys because that's what we do. I'm hoping Debo plays. That's why this score prediction comes from. We're going to win 42-13.
Nice. Paul.
Yes.
Now, what's interesting is when you do your research and you have a look at the betting sites, a lot of the scores were close. And last week, Gareth, I could have been like, you're seeing my notes, the exact score. Now, I didn't think any of you were going over the 30-point mark. And I thought someone might go for a loss, but it won't be me. 49ers win,
A loss.
34-13. And like Gareth, I think they get a garbage time touchdown. I don't think it's going to be a close game. So,
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Chuck in your boldies.
All right.
Can
Patrick Taylor, 2 touchdowns.
ooh. I know you're high on the Patrick Taylor.
I am.
That.
I like him.
Well, I'm going to steal him before you go any further. Ricky Purcell and Jacob Cowan are getting their first NFL touchdowns in this one.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Lee?
I think Jordan Mason's going to have 3 touchdowns.
That would be a good day.
That's
Yeah, I've got him for 200 yards on the day, rushing
Wow.
yards.
Wow.
I've took a leaf out of Gowland's book.
That's nice. I like it. Go on, Gareth. Your turn.
Paul's stolen one of them, so I'm going to change the player, and it's going to be Chris Conley and Garendo are both going to be debut.
Oh, I had a
touchdowns.
Garendo one too.
Friend of the show, Chris Conley. We
Chris
like
Conley,
that.
friend of the show. Garendo is going to have a 75-yard touchdown.
Nice.
Nice.
For Alex Simpson, Brock Purdy is going to throw for 300 yards, 0 interceptions, and 2 touchdowns on the night.
Is that bold? That's a pretty standard.
It is after
down.
last week.
True.
After last week.
Sure, I'll give you,
Yeah.
okay, I'll give you that. That's very true.
Yeah.
Given that I've got Mason rushing for 200 yards, that's 500 yards of total offense. So,
probably-
you know,
yeah,
Exactly,
I thought
yeah.
you would like
Yeah.
that one altogether.
Yeah,
Fair,
300 is
fair.
quite a lot for Brock. He tends to, it's 250.
It's more in the
260,
220, 230.
isn't he?
Yeah, that is true. Especially with Ayuk. It's definitely going to be a total order.
Yeah. Come on, Lee.
Any more
You're thinking
offense?
something on the fly.
No, I'm waiting for a score of the defense.
Go on then.
Defense.
Kick us
Go on
off.
then.
Kick us off.
Yeah. So this is going to sound strange, and I bet somebody says this is not bold, but we are going to have 0 turnovers on defense.
Oh, okay. That's why you went for 24. You really think we're not going to... Okay.
We're not going to force a turnover.
No, we're not going to force a turnover.
That is bold. because I do believe we are going to.
Given how many turnovers the Dallas Cowboys have been
Yeah,
I'm
given
going
away.
to say, I'm looking at mine thinking, I've got 4 interceptions for Dak, I've got a pick 6, and I've got a forced fumble. So Lee would totally throw all mine.
6 turnovers. All right. I'm going to put him under pressure because he has to show up. I mentioned his name during the breakdown. Mooney Ward is going to have a pick 6.
Woohoo! Paul, what were yours then? I've got a
So-
few turnovers.
Lenore pick 6,
Yay.
Dak with 4 interceptions, and I've got Warner getting an interception and a forced fumble. So Dak's just throwing them all out for fun.
Fantastic.
I've lost count myself now. I just thought I'd go balls.
I've got Dak throwing three interceptions
Picks,
as well.
Okay, so loads of picks.
And I've got Ezekiel Elliott held to less than 15 yards.
Oh yeah, that's not ball. That's a given. Centers
He's playing
can't.
centre, I was going to say.
Centers can't really run the ball. It doesn't happen all that often. I've got one more. I've got one
Go
more.
on, Najee. Last one.
Big man Kalia Davis is going to get 2 sacks.
Good. Like to see that. Like to see the new guy. Was it Evan?
So funnily
Anderson,
enough, I was just about to say Anderson 2 sacks.
Hey.
Oh,
However, I've no one got the graphic for what Chris Wood created. Lee's quote of the year.
oh yeah. Let me find it. Where was it in the 49?
I haven't
chat?
seen this.
Oh, you haven't
So-
seen it. All right, let me find it. Where is it? Oh.
I thought someone's going to mention it before we finish off. So I know the Discord community are liking their cheeky shout out.
I have
Created a
not seen
graphic
this either.
and everything, Lee. So Nadji's looking for it now.
Do you remember where he's put it? Maybe in the podcast. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right, let me open this. Can I share this? Oh, this is amazing.
Paul's Lee's looking worried.
Oh, I don't have to be worried.
You definitely should know.
No, don't.
There we go. You should see that issue. There
He was like a finely tuned kangaroo jumping 25 foot in the air. Lee
Love it.
Gowland, 49er UK Faithful podcast. So
There
we
we
are
go.
a community.
Excellent.
We like to give the shout out. So just be mindful, chaps. Whatever you say on the show can and will
Can
be
turn
turned into a GIF
It
and
can
used
turn
against you.
into- Yeah, absolutely. There it is.
We shall have
Thank
to
you very much, Chris, for that.
take
That's
more
brilliant.
care. Yeah, that
Brilliant
was good.
stuff.
Najee, I think you've got a PSA. Something to do with cards and boxes.
Oh yes. So funny story, but thank you, Anthony, for buying a card. Well, you didn't buy it. I bought the card, but you bought both of them at the same time to save on shipping. Appreciate it a lot. However, now Anthony has the dilemma of having to choose one of those 2 boxes because one of those cards might be extremely rare. So we decided to leave it to you people, especially on the Discord. So I've created a new channel where you can go and vote for which box Anthony is going to get, and then therefore which one I'm going to get, which will be the other one. The 2 boxes are number 5 and 2. If you can't figure that out by yourself, maybe go and check Niners history and who the card is about. I will not say any more than that. So go on the Discord. There's a text channel called Anthony and Najee Need Your Help. I've pinned the poll, but if you scroll all the way at the top, you can vote on which one Anthony will get, and then by association, I will get the other one. And then I think it's running for 3 days. I created it today around midday. I can't remember exactly. So it'll stop on Monday, and then Anthony will give me my card, and I shall open it on the live on Wednesday. And if Anthony is in the live too, he can do his and tell us what he got, and we can all blame Discord for not having the card that we wanted. so that's happening. Yeah, please go and vote. It's just a bit of fun, and it gives Anthony and I some scapegoats to blame if we don't get the cards we want. So please and thank you.
Excellent. That sounds great. Anything else before we wrap the show up?
Yes.
It's been nice to see people get their cards. I know Jonathan Watkins' card arrived. He's going to do an unboxing video. James
cool.
Evans has shared his on Instagram. So Jordan, the artist working with Patrick, he has reached out, Najee, to say, he appreciates the love, and he is sharing them on his social media. So if you want a bit of exposure, tag him in. But I just wanted to say, Gareth, it's been good to see the community engagement this week. We did come off a tough loss last week. despite what some people in the group think, we do encourage criticism, as in constructive criticism of the team. All we ask is that you don't make it personal. And this week there's been a couple that were bubbling away, but it did come down, Nadji. So
let's cross the T's and dot the I's. There is a very big difference, and I think this is something we really try to emphasize on this group on Discord and everything that we do. But there is a big difference between criticism and negativity. If you've come here to just say this team isn't good, fire everyone, this player sucks, he should be on the bench, or this coach is not good and not doing his job, he should find somewhere else to work, that is not the place for this. Now, if you want to come here and say this player isn't playing to his potential, just like we do on this show, I would like him to play better because of this, because of that. That's much better than just blaring abuse and just basically negativity with absolutely no reason whatsoever. We're all disrupted by losses. You should listen to Paul's intro on the last pod if you haven't. If that doesn't make you cry, you don't have a heart. But we all deal with it in our own way. But there's one way we will not accept is people just coming here to bash the team. We're all fans of the team. We all want the team to do well, and it's very easy to be a fan when we're winning. It's a lot harder to be a fan when we're losing. But criticism is fine. Negativity isn't. That is the bottom line.
Well said,
please, by all means, tell us what the team is doing wrong.
Well said, Nadji. That was very well put. So just to translate to anybody that didn't understand that, if you're going to be negative, do one. It's not the group for you.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Go on Discord, go in the angry room and say whatever you want.
Well, I was just about to finish off, Nadji. Or go on 49ers Twitter.
Yeah.
Because Twitter is a wonderful place sometimes, but there is a dark side of it. We're not here to gatekeep, Lee, but we've worked hard as a community to keep the positive message out there. Like you said, Nadji, I'm known as being one of the more positive voices. And when I listened to the pod back, even I was heartbroken, and that was me. That's how much that loss meant to me. So, but keep it nice, people.
You don't have to keep it nice. You can be real. You know, you can be truthful and express. But if you're just going to bash for the sake of making yourself feel better, that's not going to fly over here.
And there are plenty of other places you can go and do that if you want. And I think just to add, if it needed to be said, if you disagree with somebody, that's fine. Disagree about the players or the coach, but not with, turning on each other is just utterly pointless.
Yeah, and disagree with the opinion.
It just annoys. Yeah,
disagree with the opinion, not the people.
Yeah,
that's. We're all
you could be next to that person at a Super Bowl meetup, buying them a beer next time you see them. So
the engagement's been good, though.
It has been good.
I do want to say that, given the way the team played, and everything's been quite upbeat, and the group therapy was fantastic. But Positivity Thursday is what I'm bringing in, and that's why we're happy, we're smiling. And Gareth, it's an hour earlier on Sunday.
It is. It is.
Yes. Late game, everyone. So.
Sunday night.
You know what that all means. You know what that means. It means Discord after dark.
Yeah.
So as per usual, and going forward, we will turn off posting on Facebook. We will try and turn it back on after the game, but usually it's very late and we like to go to bed, so we forget. But we'll try and turn it back on. Eric will do his post-game reaction thread, which you can go and criticize the team if we did bad, or overjoy it over the win. Game day thread will be on Discord. I shall create it very soon. But yes, now early because our clocks are going back. Forward, backward, whatever. Back. Saturday night, Sunday morning. At
Whenever.
2 o'clock it'll be 1 o'clock.
Another go forward.
We're going forward?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I just know it's an hour earlier on Sunday night. I just know writing 20 past midnight on the calendar
on
felt
the Sunday
better than writing 20
past we're going back, otherwise it would be an hour later.
Come on, Lee. Spring forward, fall back.
Yeah.
That's it. Fall back.
There we go.
Good job, Gareth.
So kickoff is midnight, right? Is that or thereabouts?
20 past midnight. Yeah.
20 past midnight.
Okay.
All right.
So
So there you go.
we've gone down several rabbit holes there. That's fantastic. And
That's
you've pretty much done everything that I needed to say on my wrap up. So thank you, boys, and thanks to everyone who listens and watches the show. Naji's just said it all. We need a win. I think we need to go in the bye week with some confidence restored,
That'd
and
be nice.
we could all do with a good laugh. So let's hope the Cowboys oblige. Enjoy the weekend. Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, Nana gang.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice.